This is a big one, and I've asked a project executive that I respected a lot what the answer to this one is, but I'm going to ask you. When you think about the real objective of a project manager, going back to that loop, what is their actual mission, so that we can bring it home for the listeners?
Okay, so the actual mission is
Yeah.
I'd go back to the book by Patrick Lencioni, Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and a quote in there that says, if you could get all of the people in an organisation rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry, any market, under any conditions, at any time. If you could get everyone, the PM's job is to get everyone headed in the same direction. If he could do that, you'll build any project under any circumstances, ever gets thrown at you at any time. That's my opinion. In my opinion, that is his number one job.
I love that, and kudos to you for pronouncing his name right. I always get that wrong. Um,
That took a lot of practice to get that right, especially for an
yeah,
Aussie.
because
Right, today's video, the Holy Grail, how you measure project managers' capacity. I saw this in a post, and this created specifically for someone, funnily enough. I think I've done this before. It was a post on LinkedIn, and it goes, even though we've been in business for X amount of years, we still haven't really figured out how to really measure the capacity for a project manager. There's not a one size fits all way to measure an actual person. It's going to be different across all of them, but there is a process that's consistent. I'm going to show you exactly what that is today. I'm going to show you that one of your big problems, who this is about, is people that call the project manager, right? We need to change the way, or what we call them, and the way that they operate. I'm going to show you what the big difference is, how much difference there is between project manager and what I call a project catalyst. We're going to then look at where this affects you, where your projects sit on the shit show scale of 1 to 3. You're going to have to be really honest with yourself here, because if you're not going to improve. There's a saying by out of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that is, all progress begins with the truth. Unless you're executing at 98% flawlessly, you have a level of shit show going on. All right, then we're going to look at when it affects you, how we mitigate it, and why this works. But first, we are going to go to one of my favourite books on this topic, Legacy, What the All Blacks Can Teach Us About the Business of Life, and have a listen to what they say about structure. The All Blacks have an advantage over most business teams. They play most weeks. The feedback is immediate on the scoreboard and the next day in the newspaper headlines. Analytics can break down the exact effectiveness of each individual in delivering the strategy. There is video replay. In business, leaders rarely have such defined parameters or immediate measurements. Perhaps as a consequence, few businesses structure their working week as quickly or as carefully or as effectively as the All Blacks. If they did, Monday morning review over a coffee and croissants might become a discussion about a more detailed personal pathway, a map of self-improvement, a living document, as Henry called it. Few companies, this is the key part, right? Few companies really interrogate the connection between the strategy and structure, between an overall vision and the actions that take place over a working week. But with transparency, metrics, and human connectivity that are now available through technology, there are many more opportunities to do this. And I can hear the howls from the crowd already going, yeah, but Beanie, you don't understand. We're a construction company. You can't do that here. All I'm going to say is, hold my beer, because I'll show you exactly how it's done right now. And we've kicked off with, I didn't do full whip. I mean, what do I call it? Not whip. I didn't verify full kit before I started, because there is something that I need to pull up later on that I haven't actually pulled up yet. I'm just trying to pull it up now before we get starting. Box testing Rev 001, is that it? No, that's not it. Anyway, hopefully I'll be able to find that before we kick into it. let's get into it anyway. If we have to do it without that, we'll have to do it. Right. First step, the project manager. Okay. Project manager, because we call them the manager, they believe that they sit up the top of the project and everyone works for them. That's the wrong way to look at it. Project manager is a support level for everyone on the project. Problem is, the project manager, because they sit up the top, they are task focused, and you quite often hear them say, I've got so much to do. All right? They're also cost focused. So they just, a lot of them are from an accounting background and engineers, and they just think the lowest number that they can get something down to is the lowest cost. It's not the way it works. The other thing that they're not great at is running the client. You have two options. You run the client, or the client runs you. When the client runs you, and they're as chaotic as everyone else is, this is where you end up with a project manager that looks exactly like this. Okay? We need to switch the thinking to calling this person the project catalyst. The project catalyst is flow focused. They're not task focused. How to get the project to flow. Everything to move in the same direction at the same time. Get everyone rowing in the same direction. We'll build any project under any circumstances with any problems at any time. They understand the difference between cost and throughput. This is the main reason why I went back and did my diploma in project management last year. Why I went and did it is because I just could not get through to project managers. I did not really understand theory of constraint when I did this up until last year, but they don't understand the difference between cost and throughput. Instinctively, guys at my level, superintendents, know what this difference is. Good ones. The great ones know the difference between throughput and cost, even if they don't know it as throughput and cost, but they understand it. And they bang their heads against the wall and bang their heads with the project manager, which is not at all good for the project. All right, so the project manager, looking at this from a lean perspective, and we've pinched this little chart right here, is out of a book called 80-20 Sales and Marketing. If you think, what the hell sales and marketing got to do with this, Beanie, we're in construction industry, a damn lot, and send me the words sales and marketing, and I'll send you the bit of the video where I speak to why this is so vitally important. It's in a previous video that I did. I'm not going to go into it today. Basically, Perry, in their book, splits tasks up into $10 per hour tasks, $100 per hour tasks, $1,000 per hour tasks, and $10,000 per hour tasks. This is based on small business and impact that actions have to cash flow and the bottom line, to money coming in the door. Project works the exact same way. A project is a business. Okay? Because the project manager is task focused, lean thinking tells us that 10% of what he does actually drives what's called value added activity. 90% of what he does drives what's known as non-value added activity. He might be highly productive and he might be highly efficient at doing low dollar value tasks, sending emails. PMs love sending emails. Love it. Creating reports. Love spending hours creating reports. Meaningless meetings. They go nowhere. They spend hours and hours and hours in there. In fact, they'll tell you war stories of how they worked 100 hours a week, 96 days a month, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's the project manager. He's focused down there. The project catalyst knows that if he can move the needle on these tasks up the top here, the value-added activities, these ones here, if he can move that from 10% to 20%, particularly across the project, his throughput or the speed or the velocity or earn value, productivity factor, whatever you want to call it, is going to double. You don't need to do twice as much to double the throughput in the field. What we need to do is reduce this number here, the 80%, the 90% waste. We reduce that 90 to 80, we're doubled. Just by focusing on the value added activity. So he spends his time, the catalyst, creating culture. This is a 10K per hour task by impact that it has on the project. He spends his time planning with his team, which is a 1K per hour task. His focus is here. It's a small shift, but it's a massive difference in the capacity that he has to be able to move the project in the right direction and make the project actually profitable. If you look at it from purely data perspective and how big things get done, Ben Fluvier has studied 16,000 projects. Had a look at them across everything from kitchen renovations to space exploration. What they worked out is that only 47% of projects finish on actual budget. 8.5% finish on time and on budget. And a measly 0.5%, 0.5%, finish on time, on budget, and they deliver the expected outcome at the end. You're fighting against the odds when you're doing this, and if you keep doing it the way that the traditional project management model tells us, and we ignore lean, ignore that 90% of what we're doing, even though we can be highly productive and highly efficient at creating waste, at doing tasks that add no real value, what we're aiming for is to be effective. Effective, productive, means you do more. I learned this from a guy called Ari Meisel. Efficient means you can do more of less. Effective means that you do more of what works. The 20%. We pull that down even further, 30%. That moves the needle. That's how you get companies like FastCap in the United States, where his guys, he does a morning meeting that goes for an hour and a half. And his people are up to, I think he says, 9 times more effective, more throughput than industry average in manufacturing. Construction, everyone says, oh, yeah, that's a fucking manufacturing environment, Beanie. You can't do that, can't do lean on construction. Bullshit. Manufacturing, the parts move past the people. People stand in the spot, the parts come past them on the line. Construction, the parts still stand still, and we move the people past them. If we get the flow right, it works exactly the same way in construction that it works in manufacturing, because it's all about the people. It's about growing the people, getting the people engaged, getting the best, eliminating the 8th waste, which is wasted talent. How much time has the PM actually got? If we give him one project, he could spend 100% of his time on it. No, he can't. Any system operates at its best speed at around about 80%. We need to buffer in 20% of the PM's time. If he's got working 5 days a week, then we block Monday out as a buffer day. Just need to allow for it. So he's got 4 days. If he's working 4 projects, we try and work him on 1 project each day. I'll show you how to do that. So when I say we use, I did actually create a visual for this, and I didn't, as I say, let's see if I can bring it up, do a very good job of verifying full kit before I actually start it. So, why is it not in here? Let's go back to this one. There we go, I have got it. All right, so we'll look at that in a minute. Monday needs to be blocked out as a buffer day, 20% of his time. So if he works on 1 project, 20%, 80% of his time can go to 1 project in 1 day. If in 1 day he works on 2 projects, he drops 20% every time he context switch, switching between I'm doing this on project 1, and now I'm doing costs on project 1, and now I'm doing costs on project 2. That context switch comes with a tax, which is statistically 20%. So if he's working 2 projects on the same day, he now has only 60% of his day that he can spend on those 2 projects. If he works on 3, that's another context switch. He now has 40% of his day that can get split across 3, so 60% of it's wasted. If he works across 4, then he's down to 20% of his day he might be able to actually spend on productive work if he even knows the difference between value added and non-value added. If he's only got that 20% of his day available to work on 4 projects, and he doesn't understand that, of that 20%, 90% of that's gone on waste because he's not working on value added activity. This is where you got to be really honest with yourself as well and recognize how good are the systems and the process, the structure that you've put in place for him to be able to execute his working week, to execute his works. Because there's 3 levels. You want to execute flawlessly and be in flow. There's a shit show down this end. We've got flow up this end. Execute flawlessly up here. Down here, we've got absolute chaos. All right? You say, that's impossible, Beanie. You cannot operate at 98% flawlessness, which means that we have a plan. Might not exactly have gone to plan, the mission, but we still execute it. We get the job done, regardless of whether the plan happened or not. Nothing ever goes to plan. We all know that. All I'll say to that is, if you go to the book, The Afterburner Advantage, fighter pilots in a highly dangerous and complex environment operate at that because of the structure that they have in place, the way they plan, and the way that they debrief. They operate at, it's actually higher than that, it's nearly 99%. 98% of the time, they execute the mission flawlessly. They don't worry about perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. They get it, things go wrong, they get it flawless. So 98% of the time, they get the result that they said they were going up there to get. They could do it in that environment, we can do it as well. So what we have to also take into account here is what sort of shit show are you running? Because if you're not operating there, you're a shit show, okay? So you've got, number 1 is a bit of a shit show. It's not greatest, it's not the worst. We're pretty good. We're pretty good at that. It's what you'll hear very often. We smash it, we're pretty good at it. Okay, still a bit of a shit show. Well and truly, plenty of room for improvement. You then get a real shit show. This is a real shit show here, that's that all the time. Down the bottom, you've got the bottom of the barrel, which is a complete and utter shit show. You have to be honest about yourself because this is going to affect the PM's capacity. Depending on how many projects he's spread across, what sort of shit show each of those projects actually are. What we need to do for him is create flow. He needs to be able to have project 1, be able to work on project 1, then for a block of time. When I'm saying a block of time, I'm saying a day. If we want someone working across 4 projects, to me, it needs to be split up in 4 days, and I'll show you that on the screen in a minute. Project 1 for a day, project 2 for a day, a buffer day, project 3, and then project 4, which cuts his context switching down, gives him this sort of a run at each project, instead of each project getting this sort of a run at it, okay? So, again, going back to the All Blacks, if we structured our day like the All Blacks did, and you're saying to me, yeah, you can't do that because this is a construction site, Beanie, you need to be a little bit realistic here. And all I'm going to say is, unless you run the client or the client runs you, unless you put this stuff in place, it's not going to be perfect to start off with. You're not going to execute this flawlessly from day 1. But what you can do is each session, look at it and start looking at it from a session like we do in the cricket, which is kicking off the day. Can we execute 1 session flawlessly? Yeah, we did that. All right, can we get 2? See how many sessions that you can stack up flawlessly in a row. So, let's go to this one right here. Right, so this is what his day should look like. As I say, 20% of his time is going to be taken up. We need to put in a 20% buffer. I've done this on a 5-day week just to make it easy for my chart. So we're saying Mondays, I'll call it Manic Monday. I'll call it Monday a buffer day, okay? So the only thing that he's going to do on Monday, he's going to book his clients in to give them project updates. So we've got buffer time in here for him to go and do stuff that he needs to do, low dollar value tasks that he can't actually eliminate, emails or whatever it is. Client 1, he does their update. Client 2, he does their update. Client 3 does their update. Client 4, he does their update. That's his buffer. Still want him doing high dollar value tasks during this day. Daily stand up should be a given for the project manager. Way too many PMs that you see that roll up after the superintendents, the supervisors, and everyone else has done their stand up, made their plan for the day. They need to be involved in that. You're going to get everyone heading in the same direction. You need to know what the plan is. I'm not saying you do the plan. I'm not saying you run it. You do anything else, but you need to be on the same page as everyone else. And if it's coming off course, Your job's to steer it back. Your job is to get everyone heading in the same direction. They go daily stand up, they review their metrics. They should be a metric reviewing freak. You should have dashboards so that you can quickly and easily do that. I'm actually building one at the moment called MOX, which is to let you mitigate the 12 causes of project failure and incorporate the 9 rules of project flow and be able to manage that in a period of time that I'm going for, which is 14.4 minutes per day, which is 1% of a 24-hour day. All right, then they should go to pre-start, where the work's actually done, the workers. Should be doing something with the workers called 3S, which is sweep, sort, and standardise. I'm not going to go into the details of it today. That's a culture building thing. That is a 10K. This is why all these things that are green on this chart are marked in there as 10K per hour tasks. They should then be doing a Gemba walk. The Gemba walk is walking the job and seeing what's going on. Where are the hold-ups? Always looking for where's the job stopped? Where is it not flowing? Where do we not have the materials in the place that we want? Where have we not got crews working where we said we're going to have crews working? This is not a blame game. This is to find out what the real problems are, what's stopping the job, what's stopping the flow, what's creating all of this waste. Where can it be eliminated? Get out and talk with the people in the field. They'll soon tell you. In the afternoon, we do another metrics review again, a quick one, what we did for the shift. Then we do what's known as a debrief. Again, it's something that the fighter pilots do. It's called ORCA. So we speak to what was the objective for today's shift. And I'd be talking to the objective from the perspective of, I like to split it into 3 sessions the day. So we got the before smoko session, which to me should be getting everything prepped and ready to go for the day. Then we got smoko to lunch session. That's where we can get in and really knock a big hole in the work that we're going to get done for the day. The afternoon session is we finish off anything that we didn't get done in that middle session, and then we prep up for the next day again. You're going to get curveballs come at you every day. You got people, you're going to have problems that you got to deal with. You need to put that into your day, structure your day. The All Blacks have everything set out. Which day of the week they're going to train, which day of the week are they recovering, which days of the week is it a team run training session. We need to start preparing the exact same way. They're doing all of that just to throw a bit of pigskin around on the paddock. We've got hundreds, if not thousands of people out in the paddock sometimes, burning millions of dollars per day, and we're literally fucking winging it most of the time because we don't structure our day. We don't even try to structure our day because you say, we don't understand how much fucking chaos, how much of a shit show this is, Beanie. You can't just do that. You can. You can't do it overnight. It is going to take time to hold, and this is where the role of the catalyst comes in, because his job is to remove roadblocks and mitigate that resistance to change. So we need to create flow because, and this is where, when I spoke to earlier about keeping the system, the overall system at 80% capacity, particularly during those blocks during the middle of the day when we want to really get a work done, a system that is always busy is an ineffective system. Because we go and find busy work, and I've been one of the worst ones for this. As a superintendent, you call the supervisor up, why are those fucking blokes standing around over there, get them busy. If you've been on a site, if you're on a site at a superintendent level or above, you've said that phrase somewhere along the line. So the supervisor, what does he do? He wants to get the superintendent or the project manager or the client or whatever off of his back, and he just goes and finds bullshit tasks for them to do, which fit into this 90% down here, which is a complete and utter waste of time, and create busy work, which often slows the project down even further and puts it even further behind. What we should be doing is getting out there and finding out why those guys are standing around. Is it because we're not getting our work packs out to them quite fast enough? We've not got enough horsepower doing work packs in the office. Are the engineers not answering RFIs quickly enough? Is the RFI process broken? Is the information getting stuck in the system? We're not getting to where we want to go. We need to work out whereabouts in the process. Let me flick back so I can go across to another board to show you. That's a standard way. We need to work out where in the process the real problem is. Which one of these? Lack of planning? Is it the project manager? Changes? Poor scheduling? Team skills? Management support? Funding? Cost containment? Resources? Info management? Incentives or lack of continued risk analysis are causing the issues for the people to be standing around. Which one of these do we need to incorporate? Stopping bad multitasking, controlling the works in process, verifying our full kit, triaging priorities, syncing our tasks, resources and people, increasing the dosage, the time it needs to be done, avoiding rework, standardisation and global optima. Which one of those do we need to focus on to fix the real issue that we've got, which is waste? How much of our time is getting wasted? Why? I need to just zoom you back out there a little bit. All right. P1, go there. What do you keep moving around? Stay where you're told. So you can see the 12 causes of project failure. Before we get into that, what we need to do, the way that we mitigate the 12 causes of project failure and use everyone, this is where the catalyst part comes in, okay? Part of this 20% that he's doing here, this building culture, creating a more effective site, getting people doing effective work, not being productive or efficient at creating more waste, which is slowing our project down even more, is during those morning sessions that I spoke to, we need to be teaching people to see waste, know what it is, and how to see flow. Like that there. Everyone should be involved in this. Not the planners, not just the planners, not just the supervisors, not just the leading hands, not just the PM. Everyone that touches a piece that goes into the project needs to understand both of this. When there is a problem, we need to stop worrying about just get those people fucking moving over there while they're standing around. It's like, we're standing around, get over there, let's find out why, do an ORCA, objective. What was the objective? What we was trying to do here, guys? Okay, so what's the result? We're all standing around, okay? What caused that? Don't have the work pack yet. Haven't got the bolts. No one's in the stores. Causes, actions. All right, what are we going to do to fix this? Okay, so now we have actions out of here that we know actually cause the results that we've got here, the problem. Now we can get the people to go out and do this, which drives the 20% up, move that up even higher, instead of just going and going, just grab a fucking bucket and go and stand over there in the corner and count bolts so it looks like you're doing something. So that the superintendent or the project manager or whoever stops, call them out. Stop, we fixed it, we take before and after videos, particularly if we fix something physically, because this gives us a track, a record of lessons learned and the progress that we've actually made. Put that into a platform called School. Not going to go into that today. What School does is allow us to create Yoga 10, which is disseminating information laterally across the organisation. We can take this wasted time here and use it to build our people up, to train them up, to teach them to see waste and flow, to teach them to stop and fix it, and share those lessons with everyone else. We can take 10% of this, 20% of this time and here per day, which drives that figure up or down. The 10% moves up to 20. Let's go for 30. Why can't we 3x what we're currently doing? There's actually zero reason why we can't 3x what we're currently doing. All right, great checklist of mocks. So what we're going to do right now, and this is where when your PMs, if they don't already, if they're not using AI, they need to be. But they need to be using it as a strategic thought partner. So what you're looking at here is 12 causes. I'm just going to pull this out for a sec because I'm going to wander back over here. And I'll show you how to do this in real time. So I talk to my GPT like I'm talking to you now. I would talk to anyone that I'm usually working with. You're going to treat it like it is part of your team. And the better the context you give it, the better the result that you'll get. This one's called mocks. Okay, mocks. Okay, mocks. We're live at the moment. So you know how you love to operate under the pump and do things when all eyes are on you. So you've done your 12 causes of project failure there, right? But you haven't based that off of the actual ones that I've given you in the image that I've just uploaded. The image might have gone now. I'll take a photo of it again in a second. What I want you to do is, what we're going to do is, you know how we're building the mocks Trello board, that we want to get the project manager's task down to, or he'd be able to take control of the project, mitigate the 12 causes of project failure, incorporate the 9 rules of flow inside 14.4 minutes per day. That's the goal, right? If we can get it down to an hour, even would be fantastic. But the goal, the mission is to get it down to 14.4 minutes per day. What I want is a checklist that I can drop in Trello that he can tick off each day so that he knows that he's done that. If you go and use your tools and research Christian Bukosis, the afterburner advantage he speaks about in there, what's the best way to create a checklist, which is to keep it under 9 items. So what I need to do is I need 9 checklist items that the PM should do every day based on the work that you and I do. The tasks that he should be doing to mitigate the 12 causes of project failure and drive those rules of flow, and then make it into a little table. So task 1, whatever it is, however you do the description as per what Christian says, and then put beside it which numbers of the causes of failure it mitigates and which of the rules of flow it incorporates, and then give me a summary at the end to make sure that in those 9 steps we have addressed all of those. So any context, any other context that you need from me to be able to complete this mission. All right, so that's just describing. I'm going to take that photo again in a second when it does. And I better take you with me, otherwise you're going to wonder where's Beanie gone. Around here. I'll upload the image as well. This is it. This is the image mocks. Come back to P1. See what he comes up with. Got it, we're live, move fast and clean. Here are your 9 checklist items built exactly from the 12 causes of project failure from your whiteboard. 9 rules of flow, Christian Bukosis' checklist principles, your mission, a PM pulse check in 14.4 minutes per day. Everything below can be copy, paste, drop straight to Trello. Okay, so number 1, we confirm full kit for the day. We check that every task starting today has the tools, materials, manpower, access, and information, and client approvals ready. That mitigates causes 1, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. Rules of flow activated, 3, and verify full kit triage priorities. Identify today's constraints, the pen. The one thing that will be a bottleneck flow today, set the rhythm around it. Mitigate causes, flow rules. Check handoffs, ready and done. Control works in progress. Reconfirm today's tack pattern. So we're looking at the tack pan. Remove 1 blocker, orca. Capture on or before or after improvement. Share Yogatan. Distribute the win. Confirm tomorrow's full kit buff checklist and trend. There it is, all there. It can be done. What they are talking about here in the book, creating a structure, using video, having the same metrics available to them that the All Blacks have available to them, can be done within a construction company, and it certainly can be done within, whether it's large or small. All right, why it works. Incremental actions that drive 10x results. This stuff stacks up. If you focus on moving the needle on this, value-added activity, moving it from 10% to 20%, you're going to deliver your project. Simple. Dr. Eli Goldratt says in one of his videos, Changing a Organisation Holistically, he says it must be simple for it to work. It's simple and it's built on the GREAT process, which a mate of mine, Tom Hughes, created, which is get to the Gemba. G is for get to the Gemba, where the work's done. Process must be easily recognised. That's why I put in a little flywheel like that, because as people do this is a flywheel too. As people get used to doing it, it spins up. They get better and better and better and better at it. They get quicker and quicker. That goes up, that number. Move from 10 to 20, and it keeps going up every time we go through this loop. Easy to do. It's available at the workfront. All the stuff that I do can be run through Trello or School. 2 simple apps which are on your phone at low cost. You can start Trello board for free. And School is like US $9 per month. It eliminates the 8th waste, which is the wasted talent driven by this non-value added activity that we continually do over and over and over again. It creates focus. I should have spoke to this earlier. The real constraint in the system. Again, this is a quote by Dr. Eli Goldratt, and it's exactly what we're looking to do today. The real constraint in the system is not the market, it's not the client, it's not materials, not anything else. Real constraint in the system is management's lack of span of attention, lack of focus. This creates a focus. I'll do a quick recap on what you need to do to know to be able to work out your PM's capacity. Number 1, you need to switch their thinking and know whether he is a task focus, cost focus. So at best, you're getting about 10% value add activity out of him, or whether you're getting someone who's up at this level up here, where you're getting 20% or more value added activity out of him. You know to know how much his context switching. It'd allow buffer in there, that 20% buffer out of his week. Then how much is he context switching? Work out how much he's losing to that. You need to understand what level of shit show that you're running. How much more stress are you adding on top of the constant context switching that he has to deal with? You need to know when can he plan this into his week. You want a copy of that sheet that I threw up before? I'll give you that so that you can actually go and structure it hour by hour, day by day. You need to factor in, have we got this process in place yet? Or when can we get this process in place so that we can start moving this 10% higher, up 20%, 30%, whatever it may be. At this point, you're either thinking, when had Beanie's help with this? Or you're either thinking one or two things. How I operate is I operate as a wingman and a catalyst. So the wingman, the reason I say wingman is because the wingman's got your back. Helps you create alignment to make all this happen, and he knows the traps. He's been there, done this before. He's seen all of the traps. He can help you avoid it. I do 3 different levels of that. So if you just want a PM who can sit on some monthly calls, he goes to construction school, skool.com/scrum. $500 a month. He can jump into a big group environment where he'll learn stuff, pick stuff up, teach him this sort of stuff. And I'll work with him a couple of times a month inside a large group environment. Next level we go up to is 5K per month. That's a bit more, it's a smaller group environment, and I'll work with them weekly, checking that they're getting these things in place and this has all happened. Last level is 18K a month. This is for the people that want to really motor, want to take off quick, particularly early next year. That one, it's custom built to what you need in your business. I'm not going to say I'm going to turn up on these days or this time or whatever. It depends what you need. Or you might need a lot more attention early on in the piece to help you get some traction, to help the flywheel spin, and then we might back it off. We custom build both of these, the $5,000 and the 18K. It's not locked into this is all you're going to get and that's it. we custom built those two pieces of the puzzle, depending on the skills, whether this guy's actually a catalyst or whether he's stuck down here. If he's stuck down here, you're gonna need a lot of help. In fact, you may have to remove someone that's stuck down there because they might never ever accept that they need to move up to here, up to the top, to be able to really make this thing sing. So you're thinking either one or two things. Either thinking like Roy Kent, when I say, if you want to work with me, and you see those figures down there, you might be thinking like Roy Kent.
Roy, you come to the club tonight?
Hold on, will you be there?
Of course, bro.
Then fuck no.
If you watch this far, I'm tipping you probably not. But if you're thinking, like this one just here.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Reach out, message me the words, the Project Catalyst. Project Catalyst Coaching. Let's call it that. That'd be good words for you to message me with. Because you don't want to hit, we're at the outro now, you don't want to hit 2026 like this. You don't want to start 2026 like this. I'm starting a new pilot program called 2026 Pre-Season Training. It's for leaders who want to get their team match fit before the whistle blows and the 2026 season kicks off. So if you're running a good company or a team and you want to hit 2026 in a sprint, this is your window right now to set it up. We'll custom build your 12-month plan and drop it into a Trello board so that you actually track it and use it. We'll resource it properly so the work actually gets done and set you up a school community so that you're ready to get rhythm from day one. We'll be setting it all up using Goldrat's project rules of flow to mitigate the 12 causes of project failure, because that's exactly what this is and how you need to treat it as a project. And you'll also be learning to leverage AI where it counts to get the most impact. This isn't some paint by numbers cookie cutter course. It's pre-season training custom built for your business. There's only 10 spots and we'll have it wrapped up so that you're ready to run before we hit Christmas. DM me the words 2026 pre-season training and I'll send you all the details, because you really don't want to start 2026 like this.